Eagles versus the Cowboys. That was a big comparison throughout the offseason a lot. I know there were a lot of people that still said the Eagles were the best team in the NFC, but there were still a lot of people picking Dallas winning the division. How close do you think the two teteams are, both talent-wise and coaching-wise?
Stop asking. You know what his answer is going to be.
I mean, I host a podcast every week with the Eagles version of me at SB Nation. His name is Brandon Gowden, and so we go over the state of the division every week. And so obviously this has been a really fun talking point for us. And something I've told him often is that I think you can make an argument that the last year was the greatest season in Philadelphia Eagles franchise.
No question.
I thank God they didn't win the Super Bowl. But outside of that, I mean, it was the most like Madden year of all time, right? Like every dude won every award and led every category. They had a freaking Christmas album, right? Like the whole world was in love with them. I mean, it was perfect. It just didn't have the thing that you need for it to actually be
And
perfect.
they drafted the whole Georgia Bulldogs team. So there you go.
Right. And so, I mean, there's regression coming for a lot of people. And so it's just impossible. It truly is impossible for them to live up to those expectations. And I don't want to overreact to last week, but certainly, blowing a 16-point lead to Mac Jones of all people, at least invite some questions. And so, I mean, the Cowboys beat the Eagles last year on Christmas Eve, granted with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, and Dak Prescott is 7-3 in his last, 10 games against them. And so if things do come down to those games, I do trust the Cowboys. I mean, I trust Dak Prescott. He is kind of the father of the entire NFC East, as evidenced by his 11-0 record against the
I don't
Giants
trust
in
him
his
one
last
bit.
11 games.
He's a Cowboy fan, too.
I mean, there's just these are just facts. I mean,
no, I know they're facts, but to me,
Uh,
Dak Prescott can't go down there and win the big game.
Well, he's 7-3 in his last.
No,
10 games
I understand that,
against
but
the
he
Eagles.
can't go. But the game on the line, he can't make the right decisions to go down the field and win the game.
I would offer that is true for most human beings on the face of the earth. There are a handful of people that can do that.
All right, so
and like that's what it becomes right. Like that that's what the take becomes. But like you can just whisper and change the pages of NFL history so easily. I mean, Jalen Hurts had like the most whoops-a-daisy fumble of all time in the Super Bowl. And are we going to say he can't go down there and win the big game? No, because he had an incredible performance, right? Like that would be silly to like hold him hostage for one thing. But on the same side of things, okay, the Eagles beat who to get to that Super Bowl in the playoffs? They beat, the crappy Giants and the Christian McCaffrey quarterbacked 49ers, right? Like, are we going to sit here and really hoist them up? So to answer the question, I think that Dallas can certainly contend with Philadelphia. But I by no means think that Philly is going to fall apart and be this joke or anything like that. They're a force. And, I think that Dallas really got sick of seeing the way the Eagles built their roster and honestly took a few pages out of their book. And that's why trades like the Gilmore and Cooks thing happened, because that's just smart business.
Well, every team has a weakness. What do you think the Cowboys' biggest weakness is?
I mean, this is pretty chalk across the NFL, but I would say offensive line depth. It's unfortunately a matter of time until Tyron Smith has to miss, a game. He's, in case any of you aren't aware, he hasn't played an entire season since Dak Prescott, who is the longest tenured starting quarterback in the NFL, was in college. So it's been a very, very long time. And when Tyron Smith goes down, you've got to kick Tyler Smith out to left tackle. Then you've got to have somebody else play left guard. I mean, and that's just if only Tyron Smith is out. What happens if Zach Martin gets hurt or Tyler Biadasz gets hurt at center? Now, granted, Tyler Smith didn't play last week, and they were fine. But, I mean, that isn't – you're just not going to crush teams 40-0 every week.
No, you're not. No.
So that would be that's their weakness is – look, on paper, they look great. But, I mean, I've seen the on-paper Cowboys great most of my life.
Yeah, so have I. Mine too.
Yeah. So, like, I by no means am crowning them. And, look, they won 40-0. But that win counts just as much as the, like, super lame win that the Saints won, on Sunday against the Titans.
Of course.
Like, you don't get extracurricular points for, winning by 40 points. And so they look great, and they've done all the right things so far. And I would offer that's their other biggest weakness is, taking the bait, smelling themselves. And they've done that.
They smell themselves?
Kind of let themselves.
Jeez. I mean,
they let themselves get ahead of themselves. And I do believe that they're a group that has some scar tissue that they've experienced together.
Yes,
and
they have.
That, helps teams in a lot of ways. But the fact that they've gone through all of, the kind of heartbreak together, I think has bonded them and has helped them focus a little bit different.